I think a lot of people have lost faith in humanity.
Yeah, 100%.
And have just kind of given up on it. And you encountered a lot of people in a lot of really tough scenarios in their lives. It would be easy, I think, for you to assume that pessimism. Mm-hmm. What is your outlook on humanity?
Oh, dude, I'm as optimistic right now as I think I've ever been in my life. Super hopeful. And I think it is uncoupling from, I guess it makes me sound all like conspiracy Sean Ryan, and it's not. It's like Sean Ryan's a buddy of ours.
Yeah.
The narrative is, if I can scare you and I can convince you that someone is trying to get you, you'll follow me and you'll buy stuff from me. And that's just the master narrative right now. There's no path forward. There's just no political person, no group is laying out a path. I'll even, because I'm a part of this community, like churches aren't laying out a path. The only thing is we're not that, right? And so that is a institutional message. What I have a blessing of sitting with people whose marriages are falling apart. And I'm like, dude, you got to sit down and tell them. You got to tell him. You got to be honest. You got to put it all on the table. And here's probably what he's going to say. And then here's what you got to do next. And I want you to write this down in a note. I want you to do it at breakfast because the sun's coming up. Don't do it at 2 a.m. after y'all have had 2 glasses of wine. Like, here we go. And they call back 2 months later and they're like, dude, we're going to counseling. We're going to work this thing out. And so I get the blessing of both sitting with people in their most awful moments. And dude, I just get to see person after person after person change and grow and put something back together and heal and say, I'm sorry, and say, I changed my mind. And that's all of us. That's the everyday. And so we get the random person that you see the clip and like, I'm never putting that shopping cart back. Like, that's not most of us. And I'm good by that. And so I think it's unplugging. I don't watch very much news at all. In about 2 or 3 weeks, I end it until after November because nothing I hear will be true. And I have to know that. And so I'm going to speak to my friends and neighbors and, I'm real, this may be a weird thing. I'll leave it with this. I live out south of Leapers Fork, out in the woods on some acreage, and my house is essentially in the backyard of a man who's lived in this home on family land. I mean, the family land is hundreds of years old, and he's lived there. He's an older man. His health is really poor, and I go down and help him with his yard sometimes. And I said, hey, why don't you ever come up just for coffee? And he's like, well, I don't want to bother you. And like, you can hear his pacemaker sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, hey, you probably should go inside. He goes, oh, that whole thing. And it's like, bro, I can hear it. But I said, you need to come for coffee sometime. He's like, I'll do that. Well, I'm loading up my weed eater back in my truck to drive back up the hill. And he said, hey, what time? And I was like, 7 o'clock. He wasn't, no one's going to come to my house way back up there. Saturday morning, the doorbell rings. This past Saturday. He's dressed up kind of nice. Like he had tucked his shirt in, and my wife lets him in, and he's like, we having coffee? And dude, I was dead asleep. I was woke up by the doorbell. I didn't think he was gonna come. Man, I was dressed in 8 seconds, and we were out on that front porch, sat there for 2 hours. He told me old stories about the creek. My son goes and cleans, literally shovels horse crap out of the neighbor's stalls, and he was like, I'm so proud to see that boy working, and I know he didn't have to, but you're making him work. And I was like, well, he gets to work, right? But it was just an old conversation, a great conversation between a young dad and this old timer whose kids still love him. He knows how to fix stuff. And I was like, we're going to be all right. You know what I mean? Like if neighbors will stick together. And there's a researcher, I think she's out of University of Houston, researches like when systems go down, when the grid goes down, that kind of stuff. And her number one hedge is not guns, it's not solar panels, it's not deep freezers. It's the people who make it have great connections with their neighbors. Like you have great relationships with the people who live around you. So when it all goes down, everybody's like, I know him, trust him, know him. That guy's kind of sketchy, but everybody kind of goes, whew, are we okay? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Yeah. And I thought, we're going to be all right. So I think it's putting the devices away. I say this not tongue in cheek. You and I've talked about this. I think you go out and see the live shows because you sit by people and you laugh at jokes. Like go see concerts, go see
baseball games,
go to baseball games, man. I don't know. I still can't get NASCAR, man. But
yeah, we'll get you there.
I'm going to Charlotte this weekend. I think I'm just going to go. Just anyway.
Well,
get out. Put the phones down.
what if the, social media or this, and kids are getting bullied, and like, what if, like, the internet or maybe social media, I think I talked about this in the pod, becomes like similar to smoking a cigarette, where you go, yeah, we don't really.
We're already there.
Yeah, I think so. You go, well, this is the end. Like, what if like what Alex is saying, what if we do figure it out, though? Figure it out meaning learn how it can be useful. The internet can be useful. It can be helpful for us, but we don't.
It's a tool. It's not me.
What if, but the everything's over. We've learned everything, porn, AI, everybody has access. What if, which is what you're saying, humanity figures it out in a good way? That's not on anyone's news. Or
Well,
anyone's,
like,
it's not scary. It's not scary. What you're saying.
My buddies are researchers, and they're like, hey, dude, AI was able to spin up, like, I don't know, 42 or 19 or whatever, different antibiotic combinations that we couldn't have figured out. It would have taken us years, right? And so it's like, okay, now we got a shot, right? Or AI is figuring out that actually, if you want to, I'm going to fire your people all up, that one of the greatest things you can do for the environment is like have cows poo and pee in the grass.
Yeah.
And stuff, right? Like, there's some very simple things that it's like able to go and spin it out. There's some pretty extraordinary things. And I just read this morning, it spun up. They put every Supreme Court case, and they got them all right but 10. And the 10 were the opinion that it wrote was enough that legal scholars are like, we should probably look into that, right? So we're also there, right?
Yeah. What if the border? What if we figure
stuff out?
Or what if you say, hey, it was very helpful for a lot of these people to join this country, and then maybe you go, oh, well, for 30 years I was
right. And a big meta-analysis just came out the other day, completely blowing the lid off sperm counts are declining. It was like, no, they're not. They're absolutely right. So here's the deal. In
what if you wake up and you look at your phone, and what if 1,000 things is what you're saying, and you go, oh my gosh, and you see the shopping cart lady, we keep going back to her, but it's like, this is, and you're like, well, we see in a lot of that stuff, because you know what, that gets 50,000 comments.
It got me fired up.
Yes.
But when I go to the Walmart or go to Target and I see, I'm a Walmart guy. When I go to Walmart, I'm a Tractor Supply guy. In the parking lot, you know what I'm going to do? I'm literally going to miss all the people walking their carts back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find the one person.
No, you're going to miss all the carts that are already back.
They're lined up.
Yeah.
And there's one person just letting it rip. And I'm like, oh, we're all going down. We're not.
Look at humanity. Look at humanity. We're like, and unfortunately, the story about your neighbor having coffee, that doesn't, we're not going to clip that.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a boring story.
But that's the truth.
Yes.
And so you go, oh man, and all the, like, well, what if I lose my job? Well, he's had one.
And nobody wants to hear, people want to hear, like, you found out your wife was having affairs with 4 guys on your street. That's the clip.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear.
What about everybody in the neighborhood
2 years later,
that's married?
But they don't want to hear 2 years later, no, like, she messed up and she went and got some help, and actually she had some addiction she was working through and some childhood sexual abuse she was working through, and we completely wiped the deck and built a new marriage. And 4 years later, it has sucked because we had to meet every week. We had to do this and do this and do this. And now it's not even 100%. It's pretty good.
I like what you said recently.
Nobody
about
wants to see that.
you're not allowed to celebrate things. Like, it's you said it's a cultural virus. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We are not allowed to talk about the good stuff. If you called me, just know this is offers out there. Like,
I'm showing up at 7 a.m.
It would mean if you, hey, do that. That'd be awesome.
You and that guy.
You can't, like, who still drinks Monster?
Me, dude.
Hey, dude.
Long night with the kiddo.
That's 666, bro. That's the conspiracy theory, dude. Bringing them down.
Is it? Come on, man.
Sorry to derail your point.
Yes, sir.
It would be one of the greatest gifts in the world to have. I've got a couple of friends. You're in that list now. That would walk off stage, and you get back, and most people will never know how quiet the bus is when you're off. Like it's so loud. The meet and greet is so big. Everybody's signing. You go in that. You switch to the mode like yeah. And then you get back to the bus and it's just silence. Yeah, and very few people know how quiet it is. It would mean the world to me on the occasion if you would text and be like, "I absolutely crushed tonight. We're out here, bro."
Oh yeah, why can't we do that? Why can't I get on?
Because you're not allowed to say, "I did a good job."
Yeah.
Like yeah, like real cool.
But what about the other people that aren't doing good?
Exactly. Or like, oh, of course you are. You're John Crist. You do good every night. Like, no. I do good every night. Of course, I'm great at this.
Good. Yeah.
But occasionally you're like, that was good. Like I felt that, and we have to cultivate. I think
you got to do it very privately.
A group of people that are like, I get to celebrate with you.
Crushed.
Yeah, it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. It's good.
Dang, I
think we're gonna be all right. I think we're gonna
help
be
some people, man.